Great.
Okay. It's going to be a quickie. I don't think we're going to have Emily meet Emily's record, though. Sorry, people. She's still record holder.
What is that?
Emily's still going to be record holder for the shortest meeting.
Okay.
Because it
Oh.
was 2 minutes, and
You went that long, huh?
Wow.
yeah, I'm going to be longer than that.
Ridiculous, you cut that.
All righty. Good. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 1st meeting of the Hyde Park Town Board. It's a special meeting with one agenda item, although I do have a couple of other things I'd like to discuss with you.
September 30th.
Oh, wait, September 30th, sorry. Yes, why does it say October 1st? I went through a thing.
It will be shortly.
September 30th. Sorry, Donna, actually.
That's right, here, take this.
Okay.
Bet you should have one there.
Yeah, all right. Sorry about that. So please join me while we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would anyone in the public like to comment? Looks like we're pretty good on that. We do have, wait. The workshop item? Oh, okay, I think she attached the entirely wrong meeting there. Okay. So we have the presentation of the tentative 2020 budget to the town board with the supervisor's budget message as well as our comptrollers. So I guess I will go first, TC, and then you'll join us at the table over here. How's that sound?
That's these.
So-
Thank you.
And these are the official copies.
Okay. Here you go, gentlemen. A little light reading for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. And
It's in here.
What about under here? Is that a folder?
That's probably more supplemental material.
there we are. Okay.
This is from Carolina.
I don't know what happened. So, can't believe that we're talking about 2020 already. Seems like 2019 just got started, but here we are. So tonight I have for the board's review and input the 2020 tentative budget. The town's budget for the general and highway funds combined is $10,300,000. The 2020 budget, like each since 2012, is 2% or less. This year, the state mandated cap is at 2%. The townwide tax for the typical homeowner assessed at $120,000, that's the assessed value, not the market value, will increase $18, which is within the tax cap. The budget this year, like all prior years and like all municipal budgets, is driven largely by union-mandated contracts for labor and benefits for current and past employees and includes an anticipated percentage increase for health insurance and retirement costs. Employee compensation and benefit expenditures represent 70% of the 2020 budget. The 2020 budget includes salaries for positions included in a succession plan for the comptrollers and personnel office created to assure continued excellent management of tax dollars in the face of the retirement of long-term dedicated employees. The budget also includes a salary for an added deputy building inspector position that was created in response to constituent calls for enhanced property maintenance enforcement, as well as to increase fire inspections for commercial buildings and multifamily properties, and to increase the overall efficiency of the building and zoning departments. The police department operating budget represents 30% of the townwide operating budget. In 2019, we were able to fully fund a full-time police chief for our department, and the prior 7 years, we had a part-time chief. In 2019, we were awarded a county municipal innovation grant for police software of $187,000 with an annual minimal cost to the town, which is part of that 2020 budget. Highway, debt service, and parks and recreations budgets combined represent 38% of the total tentative budget. In the last several years, we've worked diligently to upgrade our highway and police fleets and with cars and equipment, and are very focused on providing our department heads and our our various departments with the capital expenditures that they need, as I said, the machinery in particular. So the salaries of all elected positions have been adjusted by 2%, with the exception of the tax collector, whose salary was increased slightly more, as she had not received an increase since she had taken office more than 6 years ago. I am pleased that we once again have been able to budget for essential services within the 2% cap and to continue to add to our reserves. With the allocation of only $30,000 in fund balance, I'm also pleased to say that this budget does not rely heavily on the use of fund balance to meet the cap, and that we are carefully managing our reserves to assure we have funds for future compensated absences and for capital projects. The redevelopment of our corridors remains a priority for me, and I know for all of you. This year, we were able to complete the first phase of our pedestrian improvement project with the installation of light poles and banners. In 2020, we will be constructing the second phase of the project, continuing the improvements to north of the Pine Woods intersection. We also continue to work to expand our tax base by seeking to form the Route 9 Sewer District. We continue to look for grant funding in anticipation of a vote early next year on the project, though this is not a taxpayer-funded project, as only the district members will pay for the service. The influence will be felt throughout our community as our business district becomes a more vibrant and attractive place for residents to shop and dine. While the town budget is a working document for all of us, the independent audits provide the final word on our competence and fiscal management. The two pieces of information in combination provide a true and accurate picture of a town's fiscal health, and I am proud of the work we, as your local government, are doing to provide excellent services for residents with the least cost to the taxpayers. So with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to our comptroller, who has a few items that he would like to call your attention to as you examine the 2020 budget.
You should have a three-paragraph page just summarizing some additional points other than what the town supervisor discussed. The second paragraph is most important. What we did this year to stay within the tax cap is really press the revenue side of the budget on the general fund. We are allocating, I think, $148,000 increase in the tax levy, which is the money being provided for the tax cap. To stay right at the tax cap, about $148,000, we're giving that all to the highway fund. Okay, so basically what we did is we developed the revenue side of the budget and then tried to match the expenditure side of the budget. We really pressed the revenues in the general fund, mainly the sales tax. We used to underestimate that a little bit to create surplus. We are really bringing the estimate of the revenue up in the sales tax about $300,000. Based on the current economy and what happened last year, there was a large increase in the sales tax, so we're bringing that revenue estimate way up because the economy is showing that there is a lot of activity with vehicle sales and, of course, home appliance sales, and that's what drove it last year. So we're bringing that up based on the current status of the economy. We also brought up the revenue estimate and the mortgage tax. So basically, bringing that up substantially, and we're not providing any allocation of fund balance because I want to see what the fund balance ends up at the end of this fiscal year and maybe create or increase other reserve funds, okay? So we'll see how that goes through year end. Now, the other item in here that is a real unknown at this point is that the PBA bargain agreement expires December 31st of this year. So we are going to go back through from this time period. You roughly have about 50 days to adopt a budget, and I recommend that you go down to the wire on this because we need some additional information on health insurance costs. And the retirement is basically staying the same, the retirement costs for the general employees, but not for the police. The police is going up a little bit. So what we will do is we'll take another look at the PBA negotiating Where we're gonna get the revenue side, I don't know yet, but we're gonna have to put some additional monies in the police budget to reserve for adjustment to compensation. So that's the big unknown in here. The tentative budget is tight. This cap, you know, I usually recommend you try to exceed the cap, but I know what's gonna go on with, with this town board. So it's right at the cap right now. So, and the highway budget is also tight because there's been an increase in the salt price this year, roughly about $10 per ton.
Per ton.
Yeah, on the salt that this town uses, they call it magic salt. So, you do have adequate reserves, as this town supervisor has mentioned. Right now, you're in great financial condition, but now this cap is starting to squeeze the revenue side of the budget. So what's going to happen in this 2020 budget, if all goes well, there's very little room for creating surplus on the revenue side, all right, unless you have a drastic increase in sales tax and the mortgage tax. So that's where we stand. But we'll take another look at this budget before we adopt. You could go to public hearing with this budget as is, but I will suggest changes before we adopt. Okay.
TC, do we know when we'll have the health insurance? Is that?
There's tentative rates on one of them,
Okay.
below what we estimated.
Okay.
So, which is good. We always
Yeah.
estimate high. So that's what
Yeah.
we will do. We'll probably take a look at all the health insurance costs. And if there's surpluses, we will move that to another account to preserve for probably the PBA bargain agreement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the items that has been on all our minds is, you know, we all hoped that we'd have additional monies for paving, and I know our highway super is very concerned about that. And so the strategy we discussed is that when we close the books, we would take a look at the funds that are our surpluses and shift some of those to the highway for additional paving. Because this budget, it does continue to only use the CHIPS monies. And like I said, we'd all like to, very much to pave additional roads, but if we are to budget that money, then we would be likely exceeding the tax cap. You know, and there has been discussion over the last few years, and in fact, last year we did it. We did a borrowing of around $600,000 to pave additional roads, and you know, it's just not a great strategy to do that, in the sense that we're still paying on roads that we're actually repaving. Roosevelt Road and I think it's Mills Cross. We're still paying the bond that was when they were first, and then Howie's been doing a lot of work on those. So, you know, I think that it's certainly what the residents are concerned about. I would say it's at the top of people's list. But, you know, that's the area that we have to look and see how we close the year. That's the strategy.
Yeah. What we're going to do is probably take a look, because right now, the total fund balance that we closed the books and that was audited was over your policy. So we're probably going to take a look at the policy. I might recommend some sort of an addendum in there that if the policy gets exceeded, and the fund balance exceeds it by a certain amount, you could allocate it to
Goes
improvements.
into like a paving reserve?
Yeah.
or-
See what
Well,
we
we-
can come up with.
yeah.
I mean, you did make, the town board was very good, that we did make drastic improvements in the highway machinery, you know.
Yes.
A bucket truck, a pickup truck, 2 large trucks.
A
So,
loader, a chipper.
Yeah.
you know, I kind of told Howie to lay off the machinery for a while.
But, you know, that was.
needed it.
He did need
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
but,
it was
you
a-
He
know,
wanted
but
one
there-
truck and we gave him 2, so.
And-
And that has to be borrowed this year. Those 2 trucks are going to cost about $450,000.
Well, you know, it's hard when 70% of your budget is going towards, you know, employee benefits and salaries and retirees. So, you know, we're left with 30% to get everything else done. That's
Yeah.
what makes it extremely difficult, so.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've been doing a lot of additional projects, primarily with grant funding.
Right.
And that we will continue to do that. You know, we did replace, I don't know how many police cars in the last 5 years, but a number of them. And, you know, they have a short life, actually.
Yeah.
So
Is
you
the
know,
tax
it's-
cap still have the circuit breaker where if you exceed the tax cap, then the
Yeah.
taxpayers lose?
No, for the school district it does.
School.
But not for the town.
Not for
no.
the
School is, they put the
School
real
does.
emphasis on the school budget because it's the
Yeah.
larger
It's the
budget.
largest budget, right?
Right,
So,
right.
and that's, you know, it's,
Yeah,
it's
that's
70% of your tax bill.
Right, but there's not a penalty to the residents if a town exceeds the tax cap.
No, because they will, I mean, a lot
There
of.
used to
peo-
be, right? Wasn't
Yeah,
there
the
at one
first
point?
year, the
When it
first
started.
year,
First year.
yeah. But there has not been since. I think there was a little confusion on that. I think we've had people come and say that, oh, you know, it's a penalty if you don't, but that's inaccurate, I've checked. But yeah, with the school district, there is. And hopefully everybody did receive their STAR checks this past week or so, last couple weeks. And so people have been, that's kind of a different methodology too, where people were allowed to, well, it came right off your tax bill at one point, but
Right.
now it's a check that comes to you, so. They say it's more efficient, I find that hard to believe, but, you
Yeah, they
know,
do.
yeah,
Take out less.
yeah. So, I don't know if anyone has any other thoughts or questions at this point. You know, we plan to have a budget workshop at I believe our next meeting is that October 7th.
7th.
October 7th, yeah. So we'll, you know, that'll give you guys
Right.
time to go through it and.
Yeah, if you have
see-
any particular questions, you can email me.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah.
very, remember one thing about your budget, your budget's called, what they call a line item budget, so it's very detailed. I mean, we take every account, and if you see some odd amounts in there, that is right down to the current expense. It doesn't even allow for an increase. So,
Yeah.
that's
It's
what
very,
it-
so some budgets are not like that, TC? Some town?
Some of them are bulk.
Oh,
Like,
really?
for example, in the 400 codes, all the 400 contractual accounts, we separate copier costs, we separate supplies, we
Yeah.
separate
We separate
rentals, everything.
Yeah.
So a lot of towns bulk that, so you really can't see what's
Ah.
going on.
Well, I like having it broken out.
Yeah.
You really can track
Yeah.
what you're doing that way, so.
Is there anything particular that we should be looking at that you think needs more attention than others? I mean, it's been kind of pretty much straightforward.
Yeah, you might want to take a look at Howard, the superintendent's request. You'll see the department request versus what we proposing. So you'll see, what you want to do is you want to match the department request versus what we are proposing in the tentative column, and then go to their detailed requests. At this point, we have not given anybody really their special line item request other than what we think is really appropriate. We did fund most of the highway superintendent's request and the police department's request. The big unknown is the police department bargain agreement final.
So just to go back to the succession plan a little bit, that, you know, we do have a number of really long-term employees that will be retiring in the next, well.
Couple years?
Very soon,
Yeah.
yeah, within the next year or two, including, you know, the deputy comptroller, the personnel, head of the personnel department, Sandy, and, you know, as people know, we had our recreation director retire. So there's a lot of people that are coming to that age, and so, you know, we really are looking forward to having a smooth transition, because these jobs are
It's the
complicated.
responsible thing to do.
Yeah, these jobs are complicated, and if you just drop people in without any tutelage, it will not really work. So that, you know, that is included in the budget,
Good,
so
good, yeah.
that drives it up a little bit too.
Mhm.
Okay, so TC, thanks very
Okay.
much for
Thank you,
spending
TC.
your late afternoon and evening with us. And they have to get to work, and then we'll talk about it some more.
Yep,
Good.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Thanks for all your work.
So, the one thing I did, it's not on the agenda, but it's just some information that I'd like to give to you all and get your input on. And that is the, regarding the electric vehicle charging station. So, you know, we applied for grant monies. Pete did the application. It was very tedious and difficult, as most people experienced. So we're getting to the point, though, where we have to make a decision on whether to go forward or not. Basically, the cost of the charging stations will be about 21,000. The grant covers 16,000, so the town would be contributing about 5 for that. But in addition, we will have to create a 2-year plan, a maintenance plan, commercial cloud plan every year for $560. So that isn't a cost that we will be incurring in the budget beyond the grant, right?
Maintenance
But-
of the
Yeah.
But you said every 2 years?
No, it's 560. Let's see. I'm attaching a memo. The initial 2-year plan the town needs is a commercial cloud plan, which it costs every year $560 plus any maintenance. So it must cover some of the digital
Maintenance.
aspect to it. So if there's a lot of use, then I assume the town can make back the cost of the cloud plan depending on the rates charged. So ChargePoint collects the money, then sends a monthly check to the town based on the rates. So essentially, we cover the cost of the electricity, but then it was not very clear to me on how we actually collect it. If there's a card system, a credit card system, that the individuals swipe it. But I believe that the requirement is the first 2 years the town covers it. And then after that, it becomes a charge back to the people who use it.
I think it's a great service to offer to
Do
the
you?
residents and the tourists that are coming into the town. You know, you see a lot more.
The amount of money that it's saving the average car owner is per year is pretty astronomical. And so I think we're going to see over the next few years that more and more people are going to be moving towards, if not fully electric, to hybrids.
Well, so I did meet with the electrician who was the low bid, Dave Stewart, and he said that he is, doing at least one conversion
Yeah.
for Tesla every week. So
Oh, yeah.
I
Wow.
do think that it is becoming, very desirable. But I guess my question, there's like 2 questions I have. Is it worth it to provide that service? So we're looking at probably about $1,000 a year, maybe for the first 2 years to provide it. And then the second question is the location. Originally, I thought we could have it right out here where right at the entrance to Town Hall. And, but apparently we would have to upgrade the electric here, wouldn't really cover that. So it has been suggested that we put it on East Market Street, that there's an electrical box there already. And I'm just a little concerned about that location.
Where on East
Whereabouts on
Market
East
Street?
At where our, on West Market
West
Street, I'm
Market.
sorry, West Market, where our parking lot exits, right across
Right,
from
right.
Cranberries.
Oh.
There, if you look, there is a
box there.
there. And that was, but to me, that's like not a very good location because it's not visible.
Right.
And the other concern I have is vandalism
Right.
in that location, because, unfortunately, the town has experienced an increase in vandalism at the town parks, at different buildings with
It needs
graffiti.
to be in a well-lit.
That's my thinking. I don't want to put it back
Traversed
there.
area.
Yeah. So then I asked Dave, would it be more expensive to install it here? But of course, then we need to talk about it with the library folks. But would it be on Main Street across from the library? So currently, the library uses the beginning parking spots.
They're
right?
limited time, that's all. It's 1 hour.
I understand that, but that's it can take, I believe, a couple hours to charge your car. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's.
I think it's a lot faster now.
It's a lot
Is it-
faster.
is it a
than
lot
that.
faster
Yeah,
now?
Yeah, people aren't sitting in their cars for hours. to get
Well,
there.
that's why they were generally in places where people were going shopping.
Okay.
Where
Like,
you have.
I know like Stewart's now, like out in Salt
Yeah, that's
Point, they
right,
have a
right,
quick
right.
one there.
Yeah.
I think they take a lot.
It's a lot faster, okay. So I was thinking what would be a better location is on Main Street, like a little bit further down, kind of where the side door exits.
Is there a box there already?
No,
Okay.
but there is a pole
There's a
that,
pole there.
that
Alright.
Dave would have to go off that pole and create a box.
Does,
And,
does it have to be on town property, or could it be
well,
in one
you
of the
know,
malls?
that's a good question. There were two different ways you could apply for the grant funding. We selected town property in the early part of the grant. Whether that can be revised, it would be a slightly different program if it's not
Right.
on publicly owned property. So I did speak to the owner of the diner and had suggested that a great place would be the former gas station next to the diner.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't respond. I mean, I have a really good idea for that, I think, would be like
That
a
would be
small.
real, yeah.
I guess,
So,
just thinking about being on Main Street there, I just don't know how that would work, because you'd have to have that station far enough off the road for like snow removal and things like that, and then parking on the road during like snow.
yeah.
And if we have to do work there, is it a lot more work
Yeah, I
and
would have to talk to
expensive?
Howie for sure.
You know, having
Yeah.
it, I mean, the best scenario is having it in our parking lot, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, but not in the back, right?
No, I'm talking like in the front
In
here.
the front. So I guess I could just reach out to Pete again, but apparently we don't have enough capacity here to provide that off of the electrical box in
Right,
this
I wonder
in the
how much
building.
more it would be to run the
upgrade
line
it.
to
Because you'd
upgrade
have to
it.
add it over there anyway, right?
Yeah, you would have to add it over there.
Right.
So,
Would the car have to be off the road? You said it has to be on town property.
well, no, just not the car,
Actually,
but the charging station
Has
has
to
to be
be-
off the road. Yeah, you'd want to
Right,
set
and
back.
you can put the car,
Yeah,
on the
you would
road.
basically put, you know, and I think at least one has to be for disabled.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know how many spots you would need. So I'm possibly 3. And I don't know if that's, yeah, it doesn't probably lay out for it very well
Right.
there. Because
3 spots.
yeah. Well, I think that, yeah, actually 4, I think is what we were designing it for. So that wouldn't really work in that location because they'd have to be,
Yeah.
So you have way
they
too
couldn't
much
be parallel
parking.
parked, they'd have to be,
So how many charging stations?
it's 4.
It's 4
Oh,
charging.
4.
Yeah, it's 2 of the actual EV chargers,
Yeah.
but you can charge 2 cars on each.
Oh, I got you, okay.
Right,
Okay,
kind of like a gas pump.
right, I got you.
And the
So-
whole thing is 21K?
Yeah,
For
about,
all of that?
for that, yeah. And then the grant is 16, so we'd have to put in 5.
and the people don't pay when they charge their
Not for the
car?
first 2 years.
So it's
They ca-
free?
Yeah.
For
The
them?
initial
Wow.
2-year plan, the town needs a commercial cloud plan.
Wow,
So,
I
yeah.
think it's a good service, Supervisor.
tremendous service, but it'd be much better off, like you said, down next to the diner, where people can actually go
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah,
and
but at the
charge.
same time, you know, we have a good court here. I mean, you have the farmer's market,
Yeah.
you do have
Right.
cranberries.
You
Yeah.
can't, it's cranberries is amazing now.
You know,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we do have business down here as well, and then,
Could we split it, or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Can't be 2 in here.
you know, you're walkable, if they want to leave their car here, you're walkable right to Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we have the walking tour. I mean, we do have a
Yeah.
lot to offer down
Yeah.
here. If
Yeah, the library.
The library's
Library,
here.
Yeah.
You can go in there and read a book.
Go for a walk.
I mean,
Okay,
for people
so,
that haven't been into the post office, the murals, and, I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot through here.
Oh, yeah, it's a busy spot.
so, I'm gathering that you're all kind of favorably disposed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The comptroller's office is not.
Of course.
The
The comptroller's office is not favorably disposed
Why?
because of the cost.
Costs money,
Right.
and we're tight already.
I understand, but we're not talking a fortune. We're getting a grant.
Yeah, well, the town is putting in 5.
Right.
5,000. Yep, okay.
But it's a one-time,
Yeah, I mean, we don't put it in every year, right? We pay the $560 or whatever
Yeah,
that
just, yes, we would have to
a
do that.
year.
Yeah, let me just,
That's the future. I mean, it really is.
yeah, well, and most municipalities are doing it.
Yep.
And that actually brings me to another point, that we have our Conservation Advisory Council is looking for additional members. And we are very close to being a climate-smart community, and there is additional funding. If you can reach that goal, there's 10 objectives that you have to meet in order to become a climate-smart community, and installing EV charging stations is one of them, and I think we've done several others. So there is some benefit in that, too.
And by the way, I looked up on Mr. Google about charging times, and it depends on the station. So if you're doing it at home, it'll take you 10 hours.
Oh, wow.
If you're doing it at an official charging station, and I'm assuming that that's what this is going to be,
Yeah.
it's about 30 minutes.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow, that's good,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So I think we should go forward with it then. But
Yeah.
Definitely.
guys, think about the location,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
And, you know, it might increase the cost to have it up closer to the
I would like
highway,
to
but
have
I'm just not comfortable.
I would like to have it up front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get it, I'll get the increase, I'll get
Yeah, I wouldn't
the-
want it in the back,
No.
nor on the road. I mean, the best
No,
spot is up
right
front here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so that's it for this meeting. So unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to discuss, may I
enough.
have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And see everybody next Monday. And Donna, I'll just give you
Oh,
the
perfect.
comments.
Thank you.
Okay, you're
Thank you.
welcome. Sure, thank you.
Next Monday's meeting.